Agricola, the revised edition by Mayfair Games, is a 1 to 4 player game worker placement. Specifically, it's a redone up version of the classic Agricola game that came out about 2004. So let's check it out. First of all, if we hop on down here, let's look at these components. You have, veggie meeples, wooden meeples, clay, grain, reed, stone. You also have the new game board. Very similar art as before. I went ahead and put all the cards out there for the different round rules. But what's really interesting is this right here. This handy dandy scoring sheet has been worked into the board, and you can actually flip it over for different players. You can see here this is actually for the 3-player. There's a 4-player side and a 1 to 2-player side as well. We also have the different Anna meeples, of course, that came out with Z-Man Games version a while ago. We have the different room tiles. We have the ever-famous major improvements, minor improvements, and occupations are their own cards just like before. The major difference here, though, is that it doesn't have the words on the back of them, so if you try and use the Z-Man version, you'll always know if an occupation came with this version or the Z-Man variant. And then, of course, you have your personal player mat. Here you can actually see, instead of discs now, you have little farmer meeples, which is pretty cool. Okay. And also one more thing, or a couple more things that's unique about this. These are suggestion tokens. So when you're playing a game with a group for the first time, you can actually lay these down and say, I would highly recommend the day laborer. You would place those down, but still let people make their own decisions. They would just look at that and remember, hey, that might be important to use. Yeah. Also over here you have, if you want a variant, a side job, which will give you yet another option to choose if you want to go there, which is pretty cool. All right, so for those that haven't played the game before, well, how the heck do you play this game? Well, let's look at our player mat first, right? First of all, here is your player board right here. As you can see, you have 2 workers already ready in their home here. You can expand your house by building these wooden tokens here. They cost a wood and a reed, and you put that down there and expand out. But even to build the house, you have to perform an action up here, which is, build a room, farm expansion, right up there. So you would place a worker there, pay the costs, and then perform said action on your home. Now, of course, when you go there, no other player can also occupy that space at the same time. So you are blocking other players while doing that. So each round consists of players using their workers one at a time, taking turns in a clockwise fashion, placing workers onto the board, and then performing said action. Each round that we go on, we continue to flip over these cards, which increase the number of actions. And then once you get down to the last round here, it actually shows a little food basket. That is a harvest event, which means that's when you grow food or harvest your food, as well as pay for your workers. Each of your workers or your family, they cost 2 food per person. So hopefully you have saved up enough food at that time. If you haven't, there are these begging markers that you take that are worth negative victory points at the end of the game. The person with the most points wins. Again, to classify how many points you're getting, you have to look at this little chart over here, and it varies based upon the number of players. Okay, based on that, let's perform a quick single round just to see how it would play out. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on the current round here just to show what we're doing. This would actually be round 4 based upon the cards that are out. Okay, so the first player is randomly chosen. They're given the first player marker. They're given 2 food, and you have 3 food on each of the other players. Okay. So first player begins. They grab their player marker. They go ahead and place it out there. They're going to go for wood. They have an occupation card that can use wood. So they claim all 3 wood immediately, and they put it with their other items. All right, clockwise, the next person would be red. Red wants to go after food. They know that that's the lifeblood of the game. It's effectively its money. So they're going to go fishing. They grab 2 food. Okay, purple goes up next. Purple needs to go after reed because they're planning on expanding their house. So they're going to go here, grab a reed. Okay, this guy has wood. He bought it for an occupation. And here's that occupation that he really wanted. Corn scoop. Each time you use the grain seeds action space, you get 1 additional grain. So he's going to go ahead and place this guy. But to do that, he needs an orange location. So he's going to go over here to major improvement. Major or minor improvement. He pays the 1 wood it cost on his improvement here. I'm sorry. Yes, that is correct. He pays the 1 there. And he's in business. Okay, red goes next. Red, they're going to go over here to clay pit and grab this clay. Purple is in luck because there's another clay location. He goes over here. Actually, there should only be 1 clay there. He's able to grab a clay. Later on, he's going to be able to expand his house. Well, I guess not. He needs quite a bit more resources based on that farm expansion in order to expand his house. So, okay. That completes everyone's actions, as we can see. Now, you go ahead and reclaim your people. So purple gets their purple back, and they each go on their houses. Red gets each of theirs. Dun, dun, dun. Blue gets each of theirs. Dun, dun. And now we would have the harvest action. No one has any troops or whatever. Or no one has any fields. I don't know why I said troops. So they go ahead and cash in their food. Now, blue, unfortunately, only has 2 food because, well, we skipped some actions. So they can only pay for 1, and then actually, dun, 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 they had to beg, so they get -3 points. And I believe that's for each food. So they're going to get 2 of those. In fact, everyone's going to get 2 of those. I'm not going to waste the action to go ahead and show you what that looks like. But then on your next turn, actually, this guy would survive. So red would survive. He would basically win at this point. Assuming we didn't play any more rounds. However, where we left off is red pretty much feeds themselves. Purple is working on expanding their farm to get more workers, right? Each room they get, they can later add another person. Allowing them more options, thus increasing their ability to gain more items. Blue was slowly working on utilizing this card here. So each time you see the grain seeds action, you get 1 additional grain. They would pretty much be working on building up their farm by getting grains and being able to utilize that grains on other objectives. Okay, so that has been the very, very brief demo of this game. If this interests you, comment below. Maybe we'll do a full playthrough. All right. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Gamers Remorse. Today we're checking out Agricola. Now this is the revised version by Mayfair, not the original Z-Man versions. So let's get to it. Gameplay, well, I mean, it's Uwe Rosenberg, right? And this is one of his flagship games. In fact, I think this is the highest rated, well, I guess second to Caverna now. Yep. Right?
Which is a successor to this. So, yeah.
Right. This one's all about farming. As we discussed before, Mayfair made some updates. We can talk a little bit about that. We can talk about basic gameplay. I mean, this is probably one of the games that brought worker placement to the forefront of the gaming world, I would say. And it came out, what, 2004?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's been around a while.
Yep.
But it's a great game. What's your guys' thoughts? On, first of all, base Agricola, second of all, the improvements that Mayfair made.
Eric.
Gameplay, this has been one of my favorite games for a while, actually, so I really enjoyed this game. The worker placement, just developing a machine to be able to get your points later. So I really enjoyed it. The improvements, I mean, you can definitely tell like by the components. Some of those had changed rather than just your basic like circled, colored circles. I'm not entirely sure. I think we were discussing that maybe each board before had the scoring thing, so you can kind of keep track on your own, and now it doesn't have those, which was a little more inconvenient. But overall, I think it was very well received for us. So.
Yeah, I think it's one of the better worker placement games, I would say, and it's such an open theme, you know, that anyone can adapt to it. It's like, okay, well, we're farming in the what they say 15th century or something like that, so you don't have all the machines and what have you, but it's a lot of fun. And what Eric was talking about, you know, they've improved the components Mayfair has, which I think adds to that fun, but the gameplay is still very much the same. The only thing that's really changed as far as gameplay, I think, is this maybe animal market thing, and also the variations, right? We talked a little bit about these side jobs. We didn't play with that, but this is better for people that are new to the game.
Yeah.
For instance, bake bread is an action on here. So if you forgot to bake bread, you know, while you're playing, well, I'm sorry, you didn't make a major improvement yet, well, you still have the option to bake bread as a side job.
Yep.
So I think it helps with that. Also, these clue tokens help out a lot for the gameplay for new players.
Yeah.
But it's still very much the same game, streamlined.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I shouldn't say we. I am much more familiar with an early Z-Man printing. So I mean the Vegemeeples or whatever you want to call them, like those have been upgraded to my understanding in later Z-Man games. The one I'm familiar with, it did not have those. And so I really enjoy the component quality. I enjoy the farmer meeples. I felt like the art and the design is very similar, but it was good originally. So I mean, Mayfair didn't have to do much to make an upgrade in that department.
True.
You know, it's not an easy game to learn by any means, but Mayfair has the additional little clue people that can be quite beneficial. I do like the way the board snaps together instead of just kind of like setting together. That is a quite nice benefit as well. And there's certain gameplay issues that I've always had with this game. Like, why is it the first person to build a fireplace doesn't teach their friends and neighbors how to make fireplaces? You know, but it's one of those things where for the sake of the game it makes sense, but I'm just like, thematically, what's happening? But I did enjoy, I mean, this has been a great game. If you haven't played it, you should. Even if you're a Caverna fan, I'm like, you should play this one just to see where Caverna came from.
I think I'm excited for Agricola Legacy to come out. Right? Where, like, a goat will come by and eat part of the board off. Or, anyway.
If Agricola Legacy was a game, would you play it?
Would you play it?
I think I
Comments
would.
below.
Let us know.
Should there be dogs involved in this game?
Probably
No?
not.
Willie, get out of here.
I think
Anyway.
this is Caverna.
Exactly. Because there are dogs in that one.
Pretty
right?
sure.
A little, yeah. Okay. Well, I think we talked a little bit about the artwork, right? They've improved it. They refined it. Even the cover artwork, if you put it side by side with Z-Man, you'll actually see a difference. The artist, illustrator, what is his name? Clemens Franz or something. Anyway, he redid the artwork exactly the same, but much more detailed throughout, which was really interesting. So if you have a copy of Z-Man, check it out side by side. But other than that, I mean, it's all pretty much the same. We talked a little bit about how the Animeeples, Vegemeeples, all of that are cut out unique now. Even these little farmer meeples. But other than that, not a whole lot of changes. The snap together board. Anything else you guys want to talk about on the art? It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then the next one is pacing. I mean, it paced pretty well with the three of us. I thought it would go a lot slower.
Yeah.
I think part of it was we had played it before, of course, and we played Caverna now. So, I mean, it's...
So the more you play it, the quicker it becomes.
Yeah.
I mean, there were still elements of analysis paralysis.
Oh, yeah.
A few times I jokingly was like, hey, anyone want to start a game on the side while waiting for this guy? I wasn't really joking. I would have started a game while waiting.
To be fair, it also happened to Brian.
Once.
Just the one time.
Never me. I kid.
Anyway,
But I mean,
so
you'll have that with this game.
yeah,
Oh,
it is a
yes.
worker placement game. It's what would you say, a mid-level Euro? So you're going to have a little bit of AP. Let's see, but you can always scale the game down too.
Yeah.
We had talked about maybe we just play 7 rounds. That's an easy way to scale it down.
Except have fun trying to stop after 7.
Right.
You're mid
right.
strategy
We
and you're
talked
like,
about
oh man.
it. Yeah. What's next?
Replayability. Replayability, I think, is really high with this game.
Oh yeah, especially when there's so many different cards and them being dealt out. You're not going to have the same combination every single time. So
Yep.
And
But
the way they fall on the board, you can randomize that as well. So you don't know exactly when something will come up. Then with the miniature improvements and the jobs, I don't think they call them jobs.
occupations. And the minor improvements.
Yeah, with those, there's more replayability because you don't even delve into half those cards as you're getting your first few playthroughs.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a lot of variability and stuff that can come up in this game.
Yep. And then one final thing, while we have a minute left, Caverna versus Agricola. Which would you pick and why?
I have not played Caverna yet. Brian has not been able to grace me with the presence of Caverna.
Tough sell.
Yeah, so I guess I will weigh in on this. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Comment down below. I would say Caverna, but I would teach people to play Agricola.
Yes.
If they've played neither, I would teach them Agricola, and then later I would teach them Caverna.
Yep.
But I would hope they would like Caverna so we could play that more. Agree, disagree?
I would agree. So I have friends that learn to play Agricola first, and they're sticking with it, which makes sense, right? I think there's a lower barrier to entry for Agricola because you're only focused on one thing, your farm. You could argue, well, you still have the house versus the rest of your farm, but you're not really limited like you are in Caverna, where it's like, no, you can't build a home out on the farm. That makes no sense. In this game, you can build all over. You can pretty much maximize your strategy however you want to. But in Caverna, you're upgrading different chambers in your cavern and whatnot. And this, it's all about the farm. So it's much easier. And I think Mayfair took a couple steps forward to make it even easier.
And we have a good review of Caverna as well. Check that out. We'll have a link down below. It's definitely worth looking into.
Yep, and also Agricola Family Edition came out as well. We'll be reviewing that later. So check that out. Any final thoughts?
Play more games.
Play more games. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Bonus time. Fair enough.